Your Humanities Half-hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hafide Zandero, welcome to your Humanities Half-hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and today we're talking something beneficial and delicious, and that is fish, or specifically the Aquaculture and Natural Resources Program under the Northern Marianas College Cooperative Research, Extension, and Education Services, or CREES, which is a name most of us are familiar with. Our guest is the Extension Agent and Program Lead for that program, Michael M. Ogle. Mike, welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Good afternoon. My name is Michael M. Ogle, and I am the Aquaculture Extension Agent and Program Leader for the Aquaculture and Natural Resources Program at NMC-CREES. The Aquaculture and Natural Resources Program, or ANR, for short, is just one of 4 programs at NMC-CREES. We are the informal education part of Northern Marianas College, the formal part of NMC. Of course, everybody knows that that's where you get your degree and certificate program. Being the informal education section of Northern Marianas College, basically we don't hold classes in a structured manner. We actually go out and visit, talk to farmers, homemakers, ranchers, the youth, and anybody that's interested in the food production sector, particularly agriculture, aquaculture, and those areas. So ANR is just one. The other programs are the agricultural production programs. So those guys are basically responsible for helping farmers that wants to grow fruits and vegetables. We have the FCYD program, which stands for Family Community Youth Development Program. And those guys, as the name says, it's basically they handle the 4-H program, which is a youth development program, and money resources program and community-related stuff. And the last program within the department is the family and or the food and nutrition program. And that is managed by our current interim dean, Miss Patty Coleman, and other of her staff. And basically, they teach people how to properly eat the right food. So as you can see, that everything is interrelated in some way, but it all comes down basically to food production. So to add on to that, the Aquaculture and Natural Resources Program basically were the program that's responsible for providing technical assistance to anybody within the CNMI community that wants to get into aquaculture. So basically the question begs, what is aquaculture? It's basically fish farming. It is growing fish or any other type of organism in the water. So anything that has to do with growing something, may it be plants, fish, mollusks, or shellfish, or whatever, we're the division that's responsible for that. So just to give you some background, we have actually helped the industry develop in Saipan. I don't know if any of you guys remember that we used to have a shrimp farm, marine shrimp farm over at the Falapi area near Chinatown. And, from the beginning of that farm, we were actually there providing technical assistance to the late Mr. Pellegrino before the farm was transferred over to another business until its closure after Typhoon Sodular in 2015. We've also helped develop the aquaponics and hydroponics industry. So basically, aquaponics and hydroponics are just ways of, growing vegetables and fruits using water with either fish waste or using fertilizer. And another accomplishment that we've had over the 20-some years that we've been in existence is not only with the shrimp farm or hydroponics and aquaponics, but we also help a farmer in Capitol Hill or a businessman in Capitol Hill start a tilapia farm that used to sell live tilapia at the Sabalu market. A lot of our clientele in the past, after they get into commercial production, they'll sell their produces in the Sabalu market or in the Garapan public market or directly to stores or directly to people. So I've mentioned the 4 program areas in the Aquaculture and Natural Resources Program, and that's the aquaculture, which is basically land-based aquaculture, mariculture, anything that plant or fish that's grown in salt water, hydroponics and aquaponics. So those are areas that we can assist the public in, to get them started in this enterprise. In a bigger platform or in a bigger stage, aquaculture actually is one of the fastest growing food production sector. This is based on data by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization and other institutions like that, where whereas other food sectors are at 1 to 2% annual growth, aquaculture is actually at 5.8% of annual growth. So that's quite big if you compare it to the other food sectors. The United States of America, our mother country, it's actually, imports about 80% of all seafood that is consumed. So all seafood that you find in stores, whether in Saipan or anywhere in the United States, most of those are imported, 80%. And of that 80%, or of those 80%, 40% of those are grown in fish farms. So, that is just to give you an outlook of the scale of this, business or food production sector. So, this is something that needs to, people should start thinking about to get into, because it's not going to get smaller. It's just going to get bigger. And part of the drive for that is basically, as people around the world, as their income or disposable income or any type of income increases, their buying power is getting bigger. So one of the first things that they'll want to go and buy is basically fresh fish, shrimp, clams, and all those kind of things, which can be farmed.
Now, you also have 2 staff members in your office who are research-based. What kind of research does this program do?
Okay, thank you, Catherine, for asking that question, because I almost forgot. Okay,
but you remembered a lot.
So yes, it's true that we have another two more staff member in our organization, and their research assistant, Miss Victoria Buniak and Mr. Petrus Faimau. So, so if you have research assistant, then what research are you doing? Basically, at present, we're conducting a research on Forktail Rabbit Fish, or as it is locally known, hiting, or the other species, which is sesdon. When they are, small, they're called, or at the juvenile states, when they are coming into lagoon during April, May, and June of that part of that time of the year, basically, they are called manyahak. So those are the ones that the fishermen, the talazeru, that would go out and cast their nets to basically catch manyahak. So manyahak is, the scientific name is Siganus argentius, and common name is Forktail Rabbit Fish. We call it hiting, and we've started the research project actually in 2014. But prior to that, we gathered the community here in Saipan, and I can vividly remember that was over at PIC, and we call in different sectors of the community so that so that the group that will make that decision to pick the species for us to to do research on is is comprised of different members, so that everybody is included in this decision making process. So we started out with as many as 22 species of fish, and then the group, through our facilitation, basically decided to choose forktail rabbit fish. Now, why is forktail rabbit fish? The reason that the group chose this, because there were a lot of positive attributes to this particular fish. Number one and most importantly, through the indigenous community in the Marianas. When I say Marianas, the indigenous community, whether it's the Rifalowats community or the Chamorro community, this particular species of fish always has some cultural value. And if one looks into the historical books that were published by different authors, and you can find these books in places like the Micronesian Area Research Center at the University of Guam or the Historical Preservation Office here in the CNMI, you would actually see drawings, by European explorers of the indigenous people, actually, because they already know the time of the year that this particular species of fish comes in. So it's a big community event, something that is culturally important to the indigenous community. So they already know that the fish are going to come in April, so they start preparing in February and March. So when the runs start, the Manyahak runs starts coming in, they're out there in the lagoon with their nets and everything, and they started, pushing the fish basically to the sand, or close to shore where it's shallow, and it's easier to catch for them, even without the technologies that we have now. So, culturally very important. Because it's culturally important, that means that there's going to be economic importance. Because, if people like to buy it, then, as a farmer of Hiting or Manyahag, then you're not gonna have any problem basically selling that to the market. So if you don't have problem selling it to the market, then there is an incentive for you to farm it, because fishing, as the name implies, you go out there and you fish. Sometimes you catch, and sometimes you don't, right? So there's no consistency to that. But if you're farming it, you know that if you put 10,000 fish in there, at the end of 5 to 6 months of growing the fish, of course you're not going to have 10,000 fish, but at least you have 8,000 fish. So if you have 8,000 fish and you're selling that fish for $3.50 a pound, so you just do the math. You have 8,000 times $3.50. And there's a potential to make in one crop about $18,000 to $20,000. So you're doing two things. You're basically performing an economic activity. We're doing an economic activity where people eat. So we're addressing the food security. So we're covering two things with this aquaculture or fish farming enterprise. The third thing that makes Hiting a good choice of species to grow is basically it's a hardy fish. It's a hardy fish species. So what does that mean? Basically, it means that if you're farming it and not all the water conditions are great, they're not sensitive, so they will not die right off the bat or immediately. Mm-hmm. So because if you're farming, there's always risk. So the risk is that if all your fish that you're farming are dead, then you lose money. But if you have a species that is hardy, then it is a lot more forgiving. So you will not be able to lose money. So So, the things it's marketable, it's a hardy species, it's culturally important. And, the last thing that the last attribute that the group discussed was basically, it's also a species that feeds on seaweed or those type, seaweed or aquatic plants that grow within our water. So when you have a fish a species like those tarakito or grouper, those are carnivorous species. So it means that you have to harvest a fish to feed another fish. But with the heating, the rabbit fish, you can feed them, plant-based protein in order for you to grow them. So plant-based protein versus protein from other fish like fish meal, is less costly or less expensive than animal-based protein. So because growing is not only, part of the thing about fish farming is you because it's farming, it's like growing tomato or cucumber. And it's a business. The more that you can cut your costs, the more profit that you can make. Because at the end of the day, it's got to make money. So that's what, aquaculture is basically fish farming to make money for. And whenever we produce on island or within our commonwealth, we're not basically exporting money out of the commonwealth. So nothing against, those seafood products that we're buying at the stores. But, whenever you buy this fish or this shrimp or that clam, that's money that's hard-earned in the Commonwealth that's going out to other parts of the world. But if we can start producing within the Commonwealth, then we can, make sure that those money stays within the Commonwealth. And especially if, the ones buying the fresh, rabbit fish, the fresh, grouper, the fresh anything, especially if these are tourists that are visiting our Commonwealth. So that's money coming out of Japan, Korea, and other places. So that's a net for us. So, that's one of not only aquaculture but agriculture. If we start producing a lot within the Commonwealth, then we can, be bringing in money instead of sending them out.
Always a good idea.
Yeah, so we're doing rabbit fish. By the way, that's the research answer.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, I want to ask you to give us an update on where you are now in the process, because I know some people, like their salivary glands are already running, hearing that they might be able to get rabbit fish readily. So Let's talk about that when we come back.
All right.
Did you know that you can donate up to $5,000 to the Humanities Council through the CNMI Education Tax Credit Program? Donations from individuals and corporations qualify and can be used to offset your local wage and salary tax, BGRT, and earnings tax. Call our office at 235-4785 to see how you can support humanities programs in our community and obtain a tax credit for your donation. Sizuus Maasi, Olomai, and thank you.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half-hour. We're talking with the Extension Agent and Program Lead for the Aquaculture and Natural Resources Program at NMC, Michael Ogo. So, Mike, you got us all excited about the potential for the Forktail Rabbit Fish that you guys are testing. Where are you now in the process, and where do we go from here?
All right, Catherine. Basically, where are we at? With the research project, we would have been close to producing on a regular basis consistently baby fish for our farmers if it wasn't for YouTube. So basically, our brand new facility that we ribbon cut basically in January of 2017 got all damage as a result of Super Typhoon Yutu in October of 2018. So we just wrapped up construction now, and actually, Kat, prior to Yutu, we actually successfully produced, the first batch of manahag or eating in captivity. So that is while they have accomplished that feat in other places in the world, with other species of rabbit fish. This was the first in the Marianas, counting Guam. It was quite an accomplishment for NMC-CREES, for the ANRP program. And we were actually in the process of, taking what we have discovered, because nobody has done this before. What we were doing is, we're basically, it's a discovery in process. So let me just give you some details about that. When we first wrote the proposal and we got funded for $570,000, most of that money went into putting the facility that I just described that got damaged in 2018. So, when we got the proposal together, basically, we put down on the proposal that we're going to try this first feed for this species, which is used everywhere in the world. They're called Rotifers and Artemia. These are zooplanktons. So when we tried that, we had some success up to the 20 days after the eggs hatched, and the larvae, was growing in 20 days. But, after that, they basically perished. So, we started scrambling and trying to figure out, okay, so this is not supposed to be 60 days. How come it's dying at 20 days? So what can we do? What else can we do to make this baby fish, go all the way to the 60 days? So we were looking into other literature, and we keep on coming across a plankton called copepod. So we started bringing in copepod, and when we tried copepod as the first feed for the rabbit fish larvae, that's when we succeeded in producing the first 60-day-old fish. So we actually took those 60-day-old baby fish from the hatchery and transported or moved them over to our grow-out tank. So that's where we we're supposed to grow the fish up to until they're 5 to 6 months old, and that's when they become market-sized fish. And then you two decided to visit us, and so construction is wrapping up, and we're gonna resume the project, and we're targeting that before the end of this year, because we already have the knowledge. We already know what the secret ingredient is. So with that in mind, before the end of this year, we should be producing baby rabbit fish for anyone interested in farming rabbit fish. And, based on our survey and information that we gathered, if the farmers grow them, or as they say, you build them and they'll come. If the farmer starts growing them, then we're confident that there won't be any problem selling the fish.
Wow, that's really a great opportunity for anybody interested in aquaculture out there. You can contact Mike at his office at NMC. Before we go, I want to give you time for some closing thoughts.
All right, so finene na no Catherine on dangkulo na si Zeus Masi na ayam na empleado ni Colejo zani tauto CREES empleado ni CREES on ayam nuestra oportunidad para bain fan gaigigini izomusyo za bain za tafanguentos zan tautauta genteramente Marianas con todo Guam no za para bain share no na para un famoksay guian pat no masyahafa na nagaga pat tinanum gihalom anum no sinya Colejo sinya NMC-CREES zani Aquaculture Natural Resources no program gaigi na zalisto na para fanajuda no na tautauta no siya man interesado no man moksay aga gihalom anum manggayam gi campus gi astrolahi campus sinya on agangam gi 2, 3, 4 5, 4, 9, 8 za famaisin alokaw sinya no komento sa man si Mr. Ogo za ni taw niya za infan ma-refer gwato gi za hami za tafan mataatsong tayo niya ibe dadaw pa ago zan si Catherine na matatatsong am gini za kumekento sam sinya tafan matatsung za ta diskuti hafa malago mizu za naisinya baina judamzu za ta ajuda ta baina judamzu za ta ajuda I Commonwealth za ta produsi mismo nata ineng kanota ginigi pa Commonwealth sa hafa mon za pumaray plan pat pumaray bat kumatunu saipan pat otron alugat giza Marianas sempi manyalangit za antigo na tautauta ti manyanya lang sa hafa manhuzong man peska manhano payal sabana za manananum za 3-4 mit ginin anay man gaigit Marianas tadza anay man nyalangit sa ta produdusi ning kanota. Pues it's again importante esti Sean Catherine sa no ta diskukuti ilinala zani kultura gini gitanota za no antatan tati tempo antigo zani izota history humanities no man kapasit na tautawgis titafanyalang za titafan malongo sa an man activate pues no todo isya edzo siya na tsotnot genen mampus mega yun nabiyay na man ti mga lalamtingit edzo naman malalangwit pues an mga lalamtingit za manyonyotsuit na nengkano na ita produdusi sinya tafan ano mo na giminaulik na manera pues undang kulutalo na si Zeus Masi para si Catherine za ni izo niya show za no estia para pago za por favor no agangam za fanay kung i programan Catherine sa maulig na programan no bonito na mensahe para itaw-tawta si Zeus Masi.
Agumas Mike Sidusmasi. Thank you very much. And, you know, you're a fisherman, and when we were chatting at the Cultural Expo, you started telling me about all the fish and the cycles and the habits, and we didn't even get a chance to touch on that today. So I want to invite you back at another time to share some of your stories and your knowledge about fishing here in the Marianas. What do you think?
Yeah, no problem, Catherine. We're always happy to talk to our community. And just let me know, and we'll be happy to come over and chat with you again.
All right. Give us your contacts in English for those that are interested in talking to you more about this program. Okay.
So basically, the main number at Northern Marianas College is 234-5498. You can also check us online at marianas.edu. You can get in touch with me by email via michael.ogo. Those are all lowercase, michael.ogo at marianas.edu. You can contact directly our office at 237-6840. So again, there are two sections of CREES, research and extension. So we're here on the extension side of the house. And basically, the United States Department of Agriculture, they created the extension program so that we can help the community. That's what we're there for, and all these services are for free.
Thank you, Mike, for your time today.
No problem. I'm happy.
I can tell. Our guest today has been Extension Agent and Program Lead Michael M. Ogo of the Aquaculture and Natural Resources Program under CREES at Northern Marianas College. They're online at marianas.edu, or call the college and ask for CREES Aquaculture, and they'll put you in touch with Mike and their team. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show. Please contact us at the Northern Marianas Humanities Council on Facebook at 670 Humanities, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to hear more of our shows. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.